when did you fall in love with like women in hip hop? And that song that you just heard was Feeling Myself by Gloss Up. Have you guys ever heard this song before?
I hadn't heard the song before.
I actually haven't heard it either.
Do you guys listen to Gloss Up? I know you do, Brie, but do you listen to Gloss Up, Shelby?
I do, not super frequently, but I've listened to some of her music before.
Okay, what do we think of the song? Because this was my pick. So like what we do like at the beginning of every episode, just to like let you know, we always like do like a fun or not fun, but just like a song by like an up and coming female rapper that we love. Like, okay, but what did you guys think of the song? I want to know.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It was on her like most recent album that she had released. So
The
I didn't
Shades of Gloss, or I think it was called.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't remember it listening it when I first listened to the album, but I thought it was cool.
I have like never heard it. I don't know. I have been out of the loop, so I don't. Yeah, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this song. I don't know why. I just love her energy, and I love another song named "Feeling Myself" that kind of I think also lives up to "Feeling Myself." You know, so I love that. And welcome everybody to another episode of Where My Girls At, and we're joined by a very special guest. Welcome, Shelby Stewart. So I have this like bio that Shelby wrote, so I'm gonna read that. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Shelby Stewart is a journalist based in Houston, Texas, where she covers art and culture. When she's not writing, you can find her fueling her passion project, the Houston Hip Hop Museum, a local nonprofit she started in 2020. Since its inception, the business has grown exponentially, having worked with major brands such as Nike, Universal Music Group, and Def Jam. She enjoys championing her hometown of Houston whenever she can and expressing the city's influence within culture. Now, Brianna is also from Dallas.
I was like, don't fight me, I'm from Dallas, okay?
I actually, like, contrary to popular belief, I actually really love Dallas. So
okay, awesome.
So, yeah.
So we're getting on the right foot.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
First of all, we're so excited to have you.
Thank
you. I know I just said that, but thank you so much for coming on. I think the work you do is so cool and so important, and we're so happy to have you here chatting with us. So the way that we do this, like I told you in the email, we always just start with like hot topics, just like fun things. We don't have to go through everything. There's like a ton of stuff on this list. Not all of it's important. But we should start. Let's hop on in and get into some hot topics.
Let's do it.
Okay. So Sexy Red is pregnant again.
All right. Do you think it's straight?
Okay, enough. It's not fucking drinks, baby.
I just watched the TikTok and there's like, listen, the signs are clear. On her most recent interview, she's like, listen, what are you doing with Drake? She's like, we've been getting it in.
You know what?
I don't know if it's just she's just talking, but
there's no fucking way this is Drake's baby. There's no fucking way this is Drake's baby. Let's just be very, very, very clear. But one thing I do love, because I hate like the rhetoric when like a woman is pregnant and she's having like all the success and they're like, oh my god, you're gonna ruin your career and stuff like that. Because remember when Cardi B got pregnant with Culture and everybody was like, why would you do that? You're gonna, oh my god. And then like, look at her now.
I think that, like, when you think about Sexy Red and her music and just, like, who we've been introduced to who she is, like, as a person, like, a personality, I guess you could say, because we don't know her personally.
Right.
Sexy Red is very, like, reminiscent of a lot of, like, if you're Black and you got, like, family members, I guess, you know, still living in the hood, you know, and stuff like that. She's reminiscent of like your cousins, and Sexy Red kind of, she comes off as a woman where like pregnancy won't phase her.
Not at all.
Like she's taking this on the chin and she's gonna keep moving. Like pregnancy is like, she's just gonna keep on trucking. I don't think that, obviously, you know, women getting pregnant, the notion that like, it kind of slows your life down. I don't think that applies to Sexy Red.
100%.
But she just started a tour. She just started her tour.
Like, beyond even the music, though, just like her personality in general, like pregnancy is like a blip on the radar. Like,
for sure.
Totally.
And let me tell you, it came at the perfect time because now look at how like successful she is. You know, she can take care of all them kids. Okay, she can have as many as she wants. So you know, congratulations to her and that baby. Something else. So Megan Thee Stallion. It's time. We are hotties, like down, like the room and the room. We stand Megan Thee Stallion, and like to know that she's like has a new project coming. That she says this is only Act 1, and she was posting a ton of Instagram pictures of like snakes and things, and people are saying this symbolizes like rebirth and all these like really fun things. And then she got on Instagram Live and is like, this project is completely self-funded, like. You know, like it's not coming from her label or anybody. I want to know, what do you guys think about this? Like, what are we expecting from a new Megan Thee Stallion project?
As somebody from Houston, I think my expectation is that she's able, because it's fully funded by herself, she doesn't have a label right now. I hope she's really able to kind of get back to her Southern roots. Obviously, she's a megastar at this point, and creative direction is creative direction.
Right.
But you guys said like your hotties, right?
Oh, 100%.
I fell in love with Tina Snow.
Oh,
like
same.
We
Same.
all did. Like,
and the only reason why I like bring that up is because it's like when you think about Megan, she's created so many different like personas. Like there was Sugar, there was
I don't even remember.
Hot Girl Meg.
Yeah.
Like Tina Snow is probably like the sound that's most adjacent to like that Southern rap feel.
Right.
Still like very like Houston coded. And so like I was a day one fan.
Yes.
And I'd love to hear her bring that sound back full circle. That's something I personally would like.
Yeah.
Oh, same. Yeah, definitely like +1 to Tina Snow. I always talk about how like that album is my favorite album. But I didn't interpret it as a music album because I know she's like also expressed interest in being able to do like multimedia. So I thought she loves Halloween. So I was like, oh, maybe she's doing like a short film or something like that.
Could be.
So that's the way that I interpreted like her message.
It completely could be. I'm hoping it's an album. I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. Like, I want her to go back to her Tina Snow roots. I also love the way that she's grown as an artist. I love the way that like lyrically she's just become much more sophisticated. I just love. I want like to see like what is the next phase for Megan Thee Stallion. You know, like I definitely want her to go back to those Southern roots because like I feel like she's been creeping toward that, you know, maybe not with this like most recent song that she released with Cardi B, but even before that, like Something for the Hotties, like I felt that.
Yeah, okay, on Something for the Hotties, she has a song with Lil Kiki on it, and that felt
Southside. What was it? Southside Forever or something?
I think so. Yeah,
I love that.
That felt very like Houston. Like I love when she kind of like dips back into that bag, and like I said, like I know she's like on such a global platform now, but as like a Houston native, and we're the same age, like I love
we all
Megan.
are.
So I loved Megan when I was in college because that's when I first like was introduced to her, like through the freestyles, through the ciphers that she was doing. And like she's one of those artists that I felt like I really grew with. You know? So knowing that like I was introduced to her when like very early aughts, Megan Thee Stallion. So even before Tina Snow's Make It Hot, that was like an EP that she dropped before then.
I remember that.
Yeah, like those are like my earliest introductions of her. And I don't want to be like the fan of an artist that is kind of like stuck in that arrested development phase where like, I don't want to see her grow. It's just like I loved Tina Snow, and honest, like, and just speaking like transparently, what was Fever? took a
Mhm.
minute to grow on me. But she was also
Okay.
introducing like Hot Girl Meg. Like eventually,
Yeah.
like I grew to love it. When I first
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
it, I was like,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
"Oh, it's Tina Snow."
Yeah.
So,
No,
Yeah.
I totally get that. I get that.
Yeah, I feel like I felt that way about Good News more
Mhm.
than anything.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I felt that way about Good News. Traumazine I really liked. I know
Mhm.
you didn't, Brianna wasn't a huge fan.
I think something I've kind of been able to take note of when it comes to Megan Thee Stallion, as tumultuous as everything has been with the labels that she's been tied to,
Yeah.
Mhm.
all of her rollouts have felt very rushed to me.
Yes.
And Traumazine has some good songs on it. It's not my favorite project collectively.
Yeah.
Same.
But you notice with Sugar, Good News, Traumazine, like I think she was doing these projects ultimately to get out of the deal,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
put the music out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, back to bring it full circle. I'm very much looking forward to her being on her own in this way, because I
Absolutely.
would love to see what she's able to do with the music
Yeah.
alone by herself. So
Yeah. It's interesting that you. I'm sorry. Wait. Go ahead, Brianna. What were you
Oh
gonna say?
no, I was gonna say like speaking of being rushed. I
Wait,
mean,
are we about to go to the same thing?
yeah,
That's so crazy. Okay.
yeah.
I love how we're just connected.
We're in sync.
Speaking of rushed, so the City Girls are dropping a new album this Friday. It's Raw, which stands for Real Ass Whores. And I've been ready. Let me say, I've been ready for a new City Girls album for a minute. I was hoping it was gonna come in this past summer, and it didn't. But I want to know what you think, and I want to know also what you think, Brianna, about like how they announced it. Like they announced it during an interview at the BET Hip Hop Awards, and then they dropped a trailer for it, and then the album cover just dropped, and now it's like, okay, and the album's coming in 2 days. About this rollout, I want to know what you guys think about that.
I feel like it was like it's like someone texted them like 30 minutes before they went on stage and was like, "Oh, don't forget to mention this." Like, I don't know. I feel like I thought that it was going to be, like you said, coming in the summer. I'm afraid that the songs that are going to be on this album are going to be stale, because the last time that we got a City Girl project was what, in 2020?
That was City on Lock.
That
was the last City Girls project.
I don't know. I feel like because like the singles that they've released seem like they were kind of sitting in the vault for a little bit. So I'm like,
I definitely felt that way about the past few.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit nervous because I think that their songs are going to be a little bit outdated. But it just seems like rushed. Like I don't know what what is it, QC is doing.
Right. That's their label, and I'm also interested in that. But I want to know Shelby, what did you think about this? Or are you excited about? Well, do you listen to the City Girls? What's your opinion?
I do listen to the City Girls. And I'm gonna say something a little unpopular. I guess similar to Sexy Red, I love seeing like this renaissance of women in rap, right?
Of course.
And I love that there are women in rap that are indicative and representing all of these different types of women, and specifically Black women, right? Because we are not a monolith. So I think there are a lot of women that see themselves in Sexy Red, and that's why Sexy is so popular, right?
Absolutely.
And I can say the same with City Girls too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, and as we venture closer towards 30, Real Ass Whores, like when I saw the title, I was just like, I think
like, come on.
It wasn't
no, I know what you mean. I know.
Like, it wasn't even that, because it's like it's not even like I probably will still listen to this album.
Well, yeah, I will be.
At face value, I was just like, am I aging out? Like, I was like, I don't know.
You know what? I felt the same way, unrelated. Completely unrelated. But I was just saying this to myself when I tried to listen to Drake's latest album. I was like,
I haven't listened to it.
I was like, damn, am I too old for Drake now? No, but I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
And the thing is like, I love the City Girls.
Yes.
I love Greasy Please. I love that JT is so different in how he approaches fashion and art.
I love them.
I think I love them as individual personalities, and I also like the music too.
Yes.
Right.
I just think like when I saw Real Ass Whores, I was like, I think it was more like inquiring minds want to know what this album is truly going to be about. But a part of me is just like, I don't know. And I think it's like, for me, like I said, like, so there's a lot of music that was concentrated like when I was in college and
Absolutely.
like when I was in undergrad and then when I was in grad school. And
Right.
it's like
Okay.
that was fine. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on here, but this mayor, and it's crazy because it's like, this is not to say that I am not still young and turned.
No,
but it's also like,
100%.
but it's also
100%.
like real ass horse. And I think like a sidestep from like this part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Carisha told Jason Lee, right, that her daughter would never be a city girl. And it's like, I think about it, and not even to be super deep, philosophical or anything. It's like, your daughter will never be a city girl, and you're feeding like millions of young girls like with this music.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of like, and it's like, again, I still love women in rap, but
Absolutely.
I think my approach, especially like as a journalist, is that
Right.
as much as I like love an artist or like an artist or listen to their music, no one is truly above critique.
No,
and
not at all.
And don't get me wrong, like,
and especially again, you as a journalist too. That's so important.
It is, and I think, like I said, like, Sexy Red and City Girls are women that are still representative of women that we know and have seen and our cousins, sisters, aunties.
Was like, me at one point, you know?
And so it's like, I wholeheartedly believe that there's a space for it, but I think I've been able to be conscious enough to know it's like, this may not be for me anymore.
I agree.
Right. Like, if there's a space and time for you to have been there. I get that.
And you know what? Yeah. And you know what? I 100% agree with you. I think where I feel kind of like, aw, you know, for them, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. I just don't think all is well, like at QC with the City Girls, you know, because I just think that with the last album getting leaked and then this album getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and then they're doing all this other stuff, and it's wonderful and it's amazing, and I feel like they want to release music together, and they want to release this album, but there's something that's happening that's like a disconnect. That's like, they're like, you know what, let's just put out these old, you know, throwaways from City on Lock. Let's put out this old music, and it doesn't feel. I don't know if their heart is in it anymore, and I don't know if somebody at the label maybe is like whatever and is like feeling like they can push them to the side. I don't want to judge this project before I hear it, but I do find myself like, damn, I miss the old City Girls a little bit. You know, like I don't want to do the thing to them where I'm like, they can never grow, their music can never change, because I love that, and I love how they become artists in their own way and very differently.
That's similar to what I said about like having this like Arrested Development sort of like mentality about Megan. But there was something very like real and raw and authentic about City Girls when they first came out. Like the high pitched voices, the wigs weren't all that great, but it's like you got like you understood it,
you get it because you know those girls. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping that whatever this album is, it's raw is the acronym, and we can call it that is what we're getting back to. You know, at least in a way. At least a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have to talk about that. That happened so long ago. Okay, let's talk about Doja Cat. Okay. Every time. Okay. So Doja Cat, she like posted, I think it was on her Instagram, herself in a photo, like a t-shirt, and on it was a picture of an alt-right comic, Sam Hyde, who everyone is like, he has said that he has ties to the neo-Nazi movement, and they say that this is a photo that people use as a meme after a mass shooting, and it comes from Hyde. And then so she posted the photo of him with him on the shirt, then she deleted it, posted another photo where it was like crop, and it was like her, and then she put like a bunch of eye roll emojis, and I just don't understand, because that feels like such a niche thing for her to have come across, that you couldn't not have known what that was, or what his ties, or how he was tied to this movement, or in what way. So I'm interested to know what you guys thought about this when you saw this.
I think, well, for starters, I think Doja Cat has done some peculiar things before.
Yeah.
But I also think that she has never not had questionable politics.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And mind you, I have been a fan of Doja Cat and been a fan of Doja Cat for a long time. I was listening to No Police in college, so like I
remember that SoundCloud bad wig era.
Very thick wig. I remember that version of Doja, and I love like the creativity that she has right now. But like I said, like the politics of it has always been kind of questionable. And there are some like creative decisions that I think that she makes that don't always land. And
definitely.
I think the thing is that where she's been able to like reach in her career, I think she's actually okay with leaning into this idea that, you know, I'm gonna do like I guess you could almost liken it to like this Kanye-esque era. Like I know people are not gonna like this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. But even still, like a while back, it kind of made me like ruminate on parasocial relationships, right?
Right.
Like, because she had told her fans, like, I don't know y'all.
She said,
like,
I don't know y'all. I don't like you.
And so
you don't know me.
I think that she does these things, and I think it takes an immense amount of confidence to do, knowing that this is going to cause conversation and still not care and continue to do things that may be seen in poor taste to other people, you know?
Absolutely.
I like that comparison to the Kanye era of just like, I'm gonna do what I want. It doesn't matter. But you're right. I think it does show the separation between like who we know them to be as an artist and what we appreciate to like who they actually are.
Yeah. And I think I've actually had this conversation a few times with like friends and colleagues and stuff like that. I think and it may sound a tad bit like, you know, narcissistic, maybe a little morbid, negative, whatever may have you. I don't genuinely think any of these celebrities are good people.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that, like, because at some point or another, whether you have been a fan or not, there's gonna be something that you may not like or agree with. But then I think what keeps me grounded and brings me back down to earth, I don't know them and they don't know me.
Exactly. So that's how I have to remind myself all the time.
Yeah, and I think that with the rise of social media, it's made us feel so much closer to these people, but we still don't know them.
Not at all.
You know?
Not at all.
We're still like, and I guess the Beyonce effect, it's like we're only seeing what they allow us to see, what they want us to see. And so it's like, that's where it feels a lot of the things that Doja has done and is doing is very calculated, strategic. She wants to put these things out there for people to see, you know?
No, I 100% agree with that. It does, though, however, just make me go, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, if you could have done any fucking thing else, but you gotta, like, really, you know, I feel like that about all of her most recent decisions. And I'm like, girl, I already bought tickets for the tour. I don't think I got any insurance, so I can't return it. Like what you putting out there and do? Because I remember back in 2016, speaking of Kanye, I bought tickets for the St. Pablo tour. A week before the show day, he gets on stage and starts ranting about Trump and leaves the show after 20 minutes. Is she gonna do that?
So I think the thing is, the degree of separation is actual like mania and like mental health, and then like Doja Cat just trolling. Like people.
That's true.
That's
like,
true.
Because it's like she's just doing this, not responding, knowing that it's causing like an uproar and just going about her life. You know?
Yeah, totally.
That's true. That's very true. She is a huge fucking troll. So that's that. Oh, this is I actually want to talk about this. Okay, so Nadira Simmons is dropping her first book. First things first, hip hop ladies who changed the game. And the description reads, "First things first reframes the history of hip hop, but this time women are given credit for their trailblazing achievements that have left an undeniable impact on music, period. And I just
No,
like,
yeah.
congratulations to her. That's like incredible. I remember when we interviewed her back earlier this year, and she was like, I'm working on something and I've been working day and night and I can't say, but it's so exciting. And this is what it is. Like,
yeah, that's super dope. I'm really
so
excited
cool.
to read it.
That is so cool. I hope you all pre-order your copy already. I know I did. I'm very excited about that. Okay, let's move into new music. I don't know the rest I care about. Okay, so there was like a ton of new music. Was there anything that like stood out to you guys that you're like, I love that, I really hate that? Like you had a strong reaction to new music?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Maya the Dawn's EP. I thought it was so good.
Okay, talk about it.
It felt like, I think the nostalgia of it, of like the samples, like, you know, with Touch My Body, I Can Love You Better, like it just felt like very reminiscent to me. And so I think that's why I felt like a connection, but it's like she put her own spin to it. Like I love the like strong New York accent in there as well. But I really enjoyed the album or the EP, and I'm excited to see how it like kind of ages over time.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't get through the album. I listened to like a bunch of songs and I was like, okay, this is cute. Like I really like it. I really love her confidence on it. And you know, I really like love that she's putting out work. I'm excited to hear it live because I'm going to see them this weekend. Her and Flo Milli on Sunday. So I'm like, let me hear it live. I know that's gonna change my opinion because I always love to hear like music live and like have like a, oh my god, I love this now. But I feel like it didn't really stand out to me. You know, like it was fine, but I don't know if I was like, I feel like I need to go back and listen to it again.
I feel that.
What about you, Shelby? Was there any music here, any new music that's released that you're like, I love this, I hate anything?
Cleo Soul.
Okay.
Her project was so good. It's so like relaxing and peaceful and calming.
Love that.
I think, okay, to like bring back my point about like aging out, like I realized that like the club bangers, I'm not playing them.
Oh
like
yeah,
the grown and sexy, grown and sexy.
And the crazy thing is, it's not even like a grown and sexy. Like I just truly enjoy like music that is like calm.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even if it's not like an R&B vibe, like a Cleo Soul or who else am I thinking of? I can't remember her name. Even if it's not like Cleo Soul, I think my like rap kind of, not alternative. I listen to like a lot of Larry June. A lot of Jay Worthy. Yes. So it's like I've been on like the drinking my water, minding my business type of vibes.
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely. Okay, well let's move into our main topic, which is interviewing you. So tell us, like, how did you get your start? Like, why this? How did you end up here?
This is kind of a loaded question. So
I know, just answer it in like however you feel, like whatever.
So journalism has always been a passion of mine. My love for journalism like dates back to like middle school. I used to want to be on TV, and then
I love that.
I was like, I don't want to be on TV anymore. I'd love to just be behind the scenes. And so I kind of connected with writing.
Yeah.
I'd always been told that I was a great writer, like throughout middle school, high school. And so on the other side of that, my passion has always been music. I've loved like music in all facets. Hip hop is kind of like where I like planted my roots, but I still like love R&B. I love jazz. I love a little bit of everything. And so with that, I kind of moseyed my way into just like writing about music. I had a blog in college where I just wrote exclusively about music. And so I kind of like grew sort of a community, sort of an audience from there. And after that, like it grew and grew and grew. And so I started freelance writing. And then I landed a job locally in Houston at the Houston Chronicle. That was my first full-time gig writing, and I covered nothing but like art, culture, and music over there, which was really cool. and something I can say, working for like the city's largest newspaper, um, journalism is very much still a very like lily white industry. And so it was cool as a Black woman being able to, I guess, kind of like infiltrate that and really talk about things that I felt were important and were clearly important to other people as well. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that, and I continue to kind of like build a platform there. Um, and then after Houston Chronicle, I landed at Houstonian Magazine, where I wrote there for almost 2 years. And then after that, got laid off. And then I started
Happens to
freelancing.
everybody. Happens to both of us.
In journalism, it's literally par for the course, so
Yeah.
it's fine. Got laid off there. Then I went back into freelancing, which was really, really fun. I got to work for OK Player for a little while. Worked with them right before they closed their doors, which is also really sad.
Crazy.
And then with the help of a very good friend of mine, I landed at Essence Magazine, which is where I'm right now. And I am the associate editor. But to kind of rewind that story a little bit, after I finished undergrad, I got my graduate degree, and I created my thesis around this idea that Houston deserved to have a hip hop museum.
Yeah.
And so from my thesis, I kind of leveraged that and actually, filled out the paperwork and started like taking all the necessary steps to build a nonprofit. And then it became this living and breathing thing.
Yeah.
And so we successfully hosted 3 exhibitions already. In my bio, you said it out loud, but we've worked with Nike before. There's a pair of shoes. You probably can't see it in the back, like in my background.
No, but I believe you.
It's right.
Okay, I
Oh,
see
I
it
see
now.
it,
I see it
yeah.
now.
I got the opportunity to work with Nike, and they created a 40th anniversary Air Force One, and it's a Houston version of that shoe. And so I got to kind of collaborate on that, which was fun.
That's so cool.
I worked with Universal Music Group, Def Jam, a handful of things, just doing a lot of like really cool artsy things in the city. So that's kind of my passion project outside of my day job. But yes, that is me. I don't
That's
even
awesome.
know if I answered your question.
No,
Yeah,
you
no, that's an awesome. Yeah, I was about to say it. That's an awesome story, and like, I studied communication in school as well, so definitely have like a heart for journalism there as well. And I think, especially, you talked about growing up in Houston, and there's so much culture that goes into Houston, and I'm sure even like similar to Dallas, there's like subculture there as well.
Yeah.
So you talked about like your love of journalism. How do you feel like you fell in love with hip hop? I think it's super easy to see the influence within Houston, but what kind of gave you that introduction of falling for rap music?
So interestingly enough, my first love, like in terms of music, wasn't actually hip hop.
Okay.
It was jazz.
Okay.
And so like my parents were very big like R&B, like neo soul types.
Okay.
And so I was introduced very early on to like the Donny Hathaways, the Erykah Badu's, the Jill Scotts and stuff like that. And in so many ways, like those artists, while they are, musicians, they're also very like, they can wax poetic,
Absolutely.
And
right.
so that was kind of my segue a little bit into hip hop. And so the first artist that I grew into loving when it came to hip hop was A Tribe Called Quest, which was kind of like, it made a lot of sense that like that was kind of like my next like foray.
That feels like a very natural progression. That
makes sense. And it was. And so I actually wrote a paper on them in college too.
Oh, that's so cool.
But that was kind of like my foray into hip hop. And so from there, I think my taste kind of just grew. And seeing that we're all like the same age, right? the blog era was so like,
Oh yeah.
it truly shaped and informed like
Oh
who
yeah.
I am today. And I'm
Mhm.
super. If there was any music I was excited about coming out, it's Wale because he's dropping an album on
He
Friday.
is. I can't wait.
But yeah, like there are a lot of artists we kind of grew up on, and I think like looking back on it, we were so very spoiled with the amount of like great music
Just excellent.
that we got. And so that, like I said, like that truly like shaped and informed like who I am.
Yeah.
Houston has always kind of been in the foreground of, you know, the work that I enjoy doing today because
Yeah.
it's my hometown and I've
Yeah.
lived here my entire life, and there is a lot of like rich culture here. But
Mhm.
like truly like getting into the meat and potatoes of like what Houston rap is, what Houston hip hop is, like what
Mhm.
that culture really kind of consists of has taken some time. And the reality is that I still don't know everything.
Of course not.
And I think that's kind of where my journalistic skill kind of like can seep in into like my passion project as well, because
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell those stories. I want to be able to talk to these people. I want to be able to do these things
Mhm.
because I think at face value, when you think of Houston and you think of music,
Yeah.
there's kind of, I don't want to even say like a Mount Rushmore, but
But I know what you mean.
like
Like
there are a lot of
staples.
names.
For
Staples.
sure.
Yeah,
Names that
like,
come up.
there are signature names that you're gonna get. You're gonna get a Beyonce. You may or may not get a DJ Screw. You know, you're gonna get
Depending on who you talk to.
yeah, like you're gonna get a little Kiki. You're gonna get those Slim Thug, Paul.
Slim
Like you're
Thug,
gonna
right.
get those names, and while those names obviously deserve to have a light shined upon
Yeah.
them, there's still like an underground
Right. Yeah.
era of Houston hip hop that doesn't always get as
Yeah.
widely acknowledged, and they have kind of set the tone and set the pace for
Yeah.
like what a lot of the music we love today
Mhm.
is. And you read it in my bio, but I think like the biggest thing that I really enjoy doing is being able to champion that
Yeah.
in conversations like these or in my writing and stuff like that, because your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is Scarface, and the
Yeah.
reason why we know Wiz Khalifa today is because of Devin the Dude.
Yeah.
These are people that are from Houston, Texas, and it's
Yeah.
like that is pertinent information that I feel like should be shared.
That's
Absolutely.
lineage. That's lineage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, I feel like in hip hop it's all so interconnected.
Yeah.
Like this
There
influences
are
that.
a lot of like linkages, and
Yeah.
a lot of things are tied to one another, and
Absolutely.
it's kind of like a knowing your history, but it's like when you think of like hip hop largely like on this like massive scale, especially in like the 50 years of hip hop, like
Right.
originating in New York and stuff like that. Houston is actually very largely a part of that family tree, but you're not always going to hear people say that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And so I have a question for you then. I mean, you essentially answered like what makes Houston hip hop so special. But
Yeah.
I want to know, like, given this like huge like year that hip hop is having, celebrating 50 years and everything, about how they're, until I think the hip hop BET Hip Hop Awards, they've been very largely like left out, of these celebrations and of this like huge milestone. About how you feel about that, and like how can we go about honoring Southern hip hop in Houston and like Atlanta and things like, in a good way.
To answer the first part of your question, it's like I'm shocked but not surprised. Houston has been kind of like the bald-headed stepchild of like hip hop in a lot of ways. And it's like, don't get me wrong, like Houston gets like reverence, but I think Houston largely gets reverence, and I think it's kind of, it's a problem from the inside almost, because it's like Houston has this Southern ingenuity that runs like through its like hip hop scene. Like everybody in Houston, New York rappers were signing to major labels, and Houston rappers didn't have to do that. Like they were comfortable selling music out of the trunk of their cars and can still like run up $1 million doing that versus signing to a label and giving away some of your money, some of the rights to your music, all of that stuff, right? Some of your publishing. And because of that, it's like Slim Thug, Paul, like these rappers could still sell out a show today in Houston. And so I think we've been very like close quarters in that way. Like it's very familial out here. it's very like family like, I would like to say, because what's so interesting about Houston and Houston like rap, Houston music in general, is that everyone kind of has some story or some encounter
Yeah.
with these like, rap legends that still
Yeah.
actually live here in the city. Like we
And
have
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we have like access to these people on a
Yeah.
very regular basis. And what's so cool, this is just like an anecdote
Mm-hmm.
off to the side, but my sister went to middle school. My older sister went to middle school with Solange, and this is before
wow.
Beyonce blew up.
Yeah.
She would tell everybody in the school that my sister was famous. No one believed her, but my sister did. And it's
Yes.
like where like it's very kind of like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. No, yeah.
At any given point, you could see like a Mike Jones at
Yes.
a gas station, you
Yeah.
know? And I think it's because like these artists still live here. Like they could go to an LA, they could go to a New York, but
There's
they
something
don't
special.
have to. They're
Yeah.
like Houston it's home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I think you talking about how, familial it is in Houston, and about how you still have access to these artists, and you have like done work with some of these artists in the Houston, Texas Hip Hop Museum. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've worked with a lot of Houston artists on like one account or another. It's hard to even like keep up or remember some
I'm
of the
sure.
stuff
Yeah.
that's like even happened, but I've been like so graciously able to enter this, I guess what you could almost call like a sacred space, right?
Mhm.
All of these rappers are like largely famous. They still live in Houston, and they've kind of like let me in a little bit more into their like lives personally and professionally.
Yes.
And it's so nice because there are like, you have artists, you have rappers like Zero, who doesn't do any interviews at all for that matter, but he wanted to talk to me.
That's
And
nice.
it's like, that is meaningful. And that is also like a feeling that will never, like, that you can't replace that, honestly.
Right.
So it's been like a gradual like build up, but I think I've kind of earned the respect of a lot of them now.
100%.
And it's very easy to get them on the phone should I need them for
that's
something.
good.
But it's all a labor of love, and
Yeah.
I think Houston loves Houston.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it doesn't take much to, really get them to be on board with the project.
I love that.
Yeah, I really do love that. I think that really speaks to a testament, one of like, the environment that you're able to create where folks feel comfortable to be able to share their stories with you. But, also touching, like you said, Houston loves Houston. I think that's the Southern charm of me growing up in the South, where it's like, I don't know, it like, I'm sure you feel the same way about Houston that I feel about Dallas. Is like, Dallas isn't that big. It's pretty small. Like, you'll run into folks all the time
at any point in time.
At any point in time.
And
but
it doesn't even have to be anything major. Like,
it's nothing crazy.
Bun B just opened up a restaurant, and at any given day, like, you could see him there. And
have you tried it?
I have. I've tried the burger a few times.
So it's good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I probably had the burger more than most Houstonians have.
Oh.
I've had it. Well, I've interviewed him a couple times for it, so like his team has always like placed me with the burger.
Yes, that's so nice.
That's dope. That. Well, like, it sounds like you have some really cool things going on within the Hip Hop Museum. Can you talk a little bit about like what's to come with the exhibits that you put on it?
Yeah.
I'd also appreciate hearing a little bit about your past exhibits. Like, were there any themes that you presented, lessons learned, growing pains?
So I will start with what we've done first.
Sure.
So we've done the 3 exhibitions we've done thus far is we started with Screwdemic. Sorry, couldn't remember. We started with Screwdemic, and that was in 21. That was our very first exhibit. Lots of growing pains there. But it was largely a success. It
Okay.
was very fun. I think I enjoyed the process of bringing this to life more than like, the success of it.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from that first exhibit. Needed to get like security and a lot of different things like after that. But of course, like, growing pains.
Right.
Our second exhibition was Slabtopia, which was centered around like car culture in Houston. And so we enlisted a lot of cars, a lot of like car centric artwork from a lot of like artists here in Houston. And I think one of the beauties of like me doing, the museum is that contrary to like your more traditional museum, we are giving like shine to the artists that are genuinely shooting in the hood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the stuff that you're not going to get at maybe like a fine art museum is the stuff that we like to put on display because sometimes, especially in the fine art, contemporary art space, there's not enough light or any light at all shined on, artwork that isn't super academic, that doesn't have like these things are still very like it's cultural work.
Right.
But it's also cultural work in the lens of the people who see it that way.
Right.
And so it's like I think more people are beginning to see the value in it now. And in a lot of ways, I feel like what I have done has been kind of like a springboard and a launch pad for a lot of artists to get in those more coveted spaces.
Okay.
But I kind of appreciate being more of this like grassroots effort because there still needs to be a space for that. There needs to be a space where people can see this artwork, like they can see slabs on Slab Sunday. They can see like what Houston looks like outside of the four walls of like downtown and midtown.
Right. Of course.
Really like the Black and brown, like Black and Latinx communities, like what life is for them.
Right.
And yeah. So
yeah, that's so cool. And what is next for you guys, if you can share anything at all?
Sure. So about what's next, we're actually doing a pop-up exhibition, a 2-day pop-up exhibition at Prairie View next month.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to be doing some really cool things there. Going to be activated there, and I will also be like hosting a panel discussion there, which will be pretty cool. And then we're also like working on planning a movie screening. There is, so I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with Tubi movies.
Yes.
So there, a long time ago, there was like a very like offbeat film that was shot in Houston with Houston rappers in it. It's called The Dirty Third.
Okay.
And so our intention is to showcase
Is it
that
still
movie.
on Tubi?
Yeah, you can find it on Tubi right now.
Oh, then I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch this.
It never was initially on Tubi, but it was just like, a shoestring budget film that kind of like you could find in Walmart on DVD.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can stream it on Tubi now. But
love that.
The beauty of it is that it had like DJ Screw in it. It had Slim Thug.
Oh my God.
And it's like, so we want to screen the movie, but also do an artist talk with the director of the film.
Yeah.
Because he also lives in Houston, of course.
Of course.
And so just getting, more insight from him about like, the creation of this movie and what brought it to life. So
I love that. Well,
that sounds really cool.
That does sound so cool. I'm like gonna watch this. I'm gonna find it on Tubi. Well, thank you so much, Shelby, for like coming and talking to us.
Yeah, appreciate all your insight and like sharing your experiences. Like, I think it's super cool to have a young person like yourself being at the forefront of how hip hop is continuing to evolve, and especially from like a Southern lens. Personally,
absolutely,
I appreciate that. So, thank you for talking with us today.
Yeah. So, at the end of the show, we always do a music rec where we just like give a recommendation of like a Black female rapper. So we can start it off if you want, and if you have one, you can join in. Do you have one, Brie?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Mine is gonna come from the Maya the Dawn EP. It's In Your Hands featuring Ty Dolla $ign.
Okay. And mine is going to be Asian Doll No Exposing. Because I love that song. I love Asian Doll. And she's from Dallas. So, close to you. Do you have one, Shelby?
Yeah, so I'm obviously going to champion a Houston artist.
Yeah.
So Ken the Man.
Yep.
We love Ken the Man.
Can I curse on here?
Hell yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Back to Hoeing.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love
my
it.
recommendation.
Love
Okay.
that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, make sure you check out the amazing work that Shelby is doing. Not just Houston, Texas Hip Hop Museum, but also at Essence. And we'll catch you guys in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Where My Girl's At, brought to you by Textured Air, a brand dedicated to celebrating Black girl culture, past, present, and future. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps. You can find us on Twitter at WhereMyGirlsAt2 and Instagram, WhereMyGirlsAt_TH. Make sure you check out our other podcasts, Does It Hold Up?, The Blacklist, and all the other content we offer on our website, texturedair.com. Until next time.